Here we are. Dave, it's me and you, face to face, a couple of silver spoons, hoping to find two of a... How do I know?
I love it. I love it. What's funny is I was actually just sitting there like at the dinner table. I'm like, I'm going to learn the theme song to The Littlest Hobo.
Yes.
Guitar. I just started singing it to my kids.
And they're just like, maybe tomorrow I'll just settle down until tomorrow. I learned how to play the guitar. I think it's like, is a C major 7 or some sort of major 7 chord in there.
Yeah, I was playing it capoed, the 4th fret for ease. Shortcutting.
It's, that's a Canadian reference.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I think Bruce knew how to play it or something like that. Or I went in and I played it for him, Bruce, our guitar tech. And
Bruce, that's also a Canadian reference. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. But speaking of guitars, maybe today, me and Dave, both guitar players. We always talk guitar. I remember when we got signed, we bought those Gibson amazing jumbo 200s, SJ 200s.
Yeah.
Downtown, and we found two. They had two, the only two they had in stock, and they were like, I think 5 Gs or something like that.
5 Gs, yeah.
And I had no money. You had to lend me the money to buy it.
Which I lent you. I lent that to you, and I took that from a loan, like a bank loan. I just got a bank loan and then just cash loaned you. But that's right. Mine had these finish flaws. Like it still has the sticker on the back of the guitar head. It says finish flaws, and they had all these cracks in the finish. And so I think that's why nobody bought that one. That was just the display floor model. All these people played it. But
right.
I got to buy a new guitar that's got flaws in the finish. But that's my favorite guitar. Out of all the guitars that I own to this day, that is still my absolute favorite guitar. The one that I would grab along with my kids. If the building were burning, I would grab that guitar.
Yeah. It's a lot of songs written on those guitars over the years. I think I had it on the road. Do we have more than one now? Do we have another couple?
Yeah,
on the
we
road
both
now?
did. Yeah, we both bought a couple more. I bought, what was mine? Mine's some kind of like country.
Yeah, that's right.
Western classic. Mine's a Western classic.
Yep. I love it.
Yours is actually, mine's all more like finagled, finished up and all fancy, but yours is actually the opposite. Yours was like, what model was yours? You remember?
I don't know.
It had like a very sort of dark tone to it. And it was like all real basic. It didn't have all the like a ton of pearl inlays, but man, it looks classic or something. I don't know. Yours looks nice too.
It's the beginner model. I think mine was called the cheapo classic. But there was once a day where like, now I don't know how many guitars. I think I have 40 guitars or something now. And I started collecting. I got some old guitars. But we all started like with a piece of shit, right? My first guitar was, it actually wasn't that bad. It was a Yamaha Strat copy. Right. And my dad's guitar player sold it to me for $100. I must have been around 14 or something. And he set it all up for me. So it played really well. And so that's what made me want to play guitar, because it played so well. And I shredded on that for a while before I got into the Ibanez's. What was your first one? Was it the Area Pro?
I had the Area Pro 2. It was an Area Pro 2.
Sorry.
But I remember getting it, man, for Christmas. My dad got it for me for Christmas. I mean, it was a full on like a Christmas story, like, oh man, I didn't get what I wanted. What's that behind over there behind the tree? Oh, what?
Oh, really?
Yeah, kind of like it was like one of those things where he didn't like pull. It wasn't that, but he didn't pull it out till later. Like didn't want to spoil the surprise because it's so obvious what it is.
Yeah.
So it's like you came running out, looking around, and there was nothing under the tree that could have been a guitar. So.
And
that Area Pro, say what?
And I said, and your brothers and sister were like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah,
they got socks.
Where's my secret? Bring it out later gift.
Yeah.
That guitar was my favorite. I loved it. It was like you said, it's a bit of a piece of crap, but I love the body shape. I love the color of it. I thought it really suited me. I had this dream of like sort of pulling all the insides, guts apart and rebuilding it. And so it was kind of left in that state for a while when we started touring as a band, I had a couple guitars that I left at home in my parents' house. My mom put 2 of them out for spring cleaning. Just like like when you were a kid, like every now and again.
Sad story.
It is. Do you remember what spring cleaning was? It was like the one time of the year where it was like people just threw out all their stuff, but it was like for a lot of people, it was like the treasure, right? People were just driving around in trucks picking stuff off of people's piles. So I'm certain that my mom put those things out, and like within 30 minutes, they were scooped up by somebody that was like, "Whoa, what the hell? A couple of electric guitars are in pretty much mint shape."
Guys, like,
yeah. So I still don't know who has that guitar, where it is, what happened to it.
Is that an Area Pro? No, dude, it's an Area Pro 2. That's sad though. Your first guitar. I don't have that guitar. My Yamaha's gone. I sold it to my guitar teacher's girlfriend. And he still has it. I think he got it back from her. I went and met up with him years later and went over his place, and there was a guitar. He still had it.
He's like, would you mind signing this for me?
I smashed it. No, I mean, it's a good playing guitar. It's good. It's interesting.
I don't get too attached. I'm not that kind of guy. Like, I have guitars that I've lent out to people that I've just kind of like given up on even ever asking for them back. And I feel like guitars for me, a lot of times they don't want to just sit here on display or in a case. They want to be played. They want to have human oils, touching them. So it's like, I get this point where I just like, I have this, I'm fine just like sending guitars to people and letting them borrow them and give them use. And even if I get them back, it's like I get them back in better shape, because so long as it's not my oils that are going into the guitar, then it's actually pretty good.
Well, we know about all your oils. Yeah. Well, remember we were in Florida for my birthday. We went to, were you with me? We went to that guitar shop or something. I bought that 57 Les Paul.
No, I didn't go with you when you got that. I was there when you brought it back.
Yeah, and I'm like, I'm going to get myself a gift. And I went to, I think it was in Tallahassee or something. We just walked on a day off, some old guitar shop. And I bought a 57 Les Paul, all custom. The thing was in mint condition. I still got it. It's right here. And I remember I thought it'd be cool to bring it to rehearsals for one of our records. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to bring it because it sounds so good. No, the thing doesn't leave my house now.
And you were jamming with like your belt buckle that we got from like the Wyoming State Fair. That's like a dinner plate. Yeah,
that was some gold, pure gold belt buckle, and I didn't realize it. And I had been playing this, this 57 Les Paul, and then playing it, and then I looked at the back, and it was destroyed. I grinded all the paint off of it with this belt buckle, and I was just like, you got to be kidding me. What an idiot.
Well, every stupid thing you do to a guitar is a story, though. And I mean, I got, like we were talking about our big body Gibsons, I used to walk around my house and play that guitar, like to the point where I was like walking up the stairs playing through the one bedroom and through the, the Jack and Jill bathroom, out the other bedroom, and I smashed it on the door handle, and it just put a 3-inch gouge, like from the doorknob lock, just in the guitar. And I was like, idiot. But then I got over it because it's just part of this guitar's history,
Do you, when you walk around your house playing guitar, do you walk through your whole house, like through the butler's quarters?
Through the
elevator? Do you take it in the elevator?
The cook's kitchen. Don't joke, man. One of these days I'm going to have an elevator because I'm getting too old for stairs already. Well,
escalator. I'd rather have an escalator. The elevator thing would be something that, like, we haven't seen Tyler in 3 days. I'm like, thanks guys. I've been trapped in my own elevator.
Yeah,
and I can't get out. There's no service in here. That's something would happen to me after building an elevator. I'm like, yeah, no escalator.
Take it to the basement.
Yeah, or like even better, like a slide. Remember we played we played some show somewhere, and it was like a country bar thing, and they had a bunch of strippers, but they had a slide that went down from the upper.
I do remember.
They went down. That was at the day where we they provided lunch, and it was sushi, and we went in to eat, and it was
on
a girl
body
on a naked chick, and we're like, I'm out.
Oh,
I didn't eat it. All the crew guys are like grabbing plates.
I'm not really into eating off another person's body.
And the sushi too. If it was subs, Panera Bread or Subway, I'd probably grab one. Why not?
Well, I'll take a pastrami sandwich right there. That looks good.
I'll take a cold cut trio off a boob.
Oh, man.
Oh, yeah. There's so many good stories, but shit. Yeah, man, guitars. I don't know how many guitars I have now, but I remember I went into the shredding era, went through my shredding phase where I had that Ibanez. And then that's when I joined your band.
Met you, Ty, you had that's what you were playing. You were playing that Ibanez with the handle. I think had like the. Did you have that one with the handle space?
It was all close. Yeah, it was the 770 model, which is one below
you were
the
shredding on that thing.
It had a full floating bridge and everything.
Yeah, you were shredding on that thing.
We would jam and then. We would do like a verse or something, and then they'd be like, okay, then I'm going to give Tyler 2 minutes of shredding.
We'd be like, Ty, you want to take a 20 bar? You know what? Just take a 48 bar solo there.
It's just dumb. And it's just like, no, like the song said no, it was just pointless, right? It was like, and then I just shred. I wouldn't even like, am I building up to something? Is there any songwriting involved in this? No.
That was our first band as a bunch of kids, and I think we knew we just needed to highlight the talent. And it was your guitar playing ability. It was not our singer who refused to sing if anybody was watching him. If looking at him.
It was so much fun. Well, that's when I came over. I think I came over and brought my amp, guitar. I used to love jam practice, band practice. You just show up at your buddy's house with guitar and an amp in your whatever car you had. Take you all this time to set it up, and then it'd become battle of who's the loudest. And then you jam and then be like, and then you get halfway through a song and it's like,
you don't realize back then that it's like, if you stand like right next to your amp, then you hear the guy's amp that's further away, you know, like I could hear your amp probably better than I could hear my amp because I'm standing right in front of my amp.
Yeah, mine's pointed at you like a flashlight.
Yeah, so I got to keep cranking mine. And then of course mine's just pointed right at you. Yes.
It's every band. Anyone listening right now is in a band. They're like, "Yep." To get two guitar players in a band, it's just like
nothing's better than that show we played that one time where my amp was like right on the stage, and it was like the perfect height to just be like pegging this one couple right in the face. And I thought they were like kidding at first. And they're like, "You're too loud. Turn your amp down." And I'm like, "Well, you got the best seat in the house, man. Right on." You know, like making jokes.
They were miserable. I think they almost got kicked out. They wanted to fight you.
It got bad. And I was like, "Man, I'm sorry. I didn't realize that it was, you know, you got the one spot where the guitar is just pointed right at."
I know exactly. That was a casino.
Yeah.
Yeah. And well, that's what you get. People just wanted to turn you down. They were just like, this is terrible. They're like, "Tyler, turn yours up, man." I'm like, "You got it."
Like, I can't hear the vocals. What do you need to hear that for? What? Come on.
Yeah, exactly. Our guest today is a guitar player.
He's like the best guitar player. He's like the best guitar player in the world right now. I mean, I don't think there's anybody that tops him.
He's guitar god. Well, we would go. We've toured with him quite a bit, but we'd walk past the dressing room. There'd be just doing scales, and I would go in there and make a joke like, "Hey man, how come you're not out banging chicks? Come on, man." And obviously I'm joking. But he'd just be in there every day, just doing scales, playing guitar. He loves it.
Yeah, he's one of those guys who truly just loves playing, and you can tell because he's just like he wants to be better than anybody. And not that he wants to be better than everybody. I think he just wants to be better than he was the day before. You know, like he just pushes himself so much. It's fun to watch him play because he's just such a skilled guitar player. But he's also he's just like the most humble, sweet, generous, nice guy. You would never believe that he's probably played in front of some of the biggest crowds and sold some records that have sold more than any other, you know, like this guy's he's a generous man.
Yeah. Well, let's bring him on. Should we bring him on? Let's get him on the line.
Let's bring him on.
Hey, our guest today doesn't really need an introduction, but in case you've been living on the dark side of the moon, he's a Grammy Award-winning musician and songwriter, founder member of Creed, Alterbridge, and Tremonti, creator of record label Fret 12, has many guitar god accolades, including Guitar World's Guitar Player of the Year 3 years in a row. But most importantly, he has worked as a cook at Chili's. Welcome, Mark Tremonti. Yeah.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, those years in the kitchen really forged me as a man.
Dude, I used to work at I used to cook in a kitchen as well. I mean, it wasn't a Chili's, but you got any good stories working at Chili's? There must have been some.
Lots. I almost got in a knife fight.
What? Yeah, we got a knife fight at Chili's.
I almost got in a knife fight. Yeah, there was this guy I used to work with would mess up my station in the morning, and I'd come in there and it's like, I wasn't in the mood. I'm like, get your stuff off my station. And we got mouthy and lippy, and we said we were going to take it outside. So we go out back, and on his way out back, he grabs one of the big butcher knives off the magnet board, comes out there to I guess stick me with a knife, and then the manager just took the knife from him, pushed him back inside. Get back to work, boys. That's as far as it went. He was threatening me with a knife, and he just said, "Get back to work.
Get back to work.
Stop this silly knife fighting nonsense."
That's that
was back in the day when you could do that.
I used to put up.
Well, that's the drama. That's the kitchen drama. Anybody that works in a kitchen has always said there's something, there's some kind of drama that exists. In some cases it leads to knife fighting. That's
right. I loved it though. We had a lot of good times. I used to draw art, with come see the concert tonight at Floyd's Music Store, and I'd put it in the back break room for all the people to come to, and all the staff would come out to our concerts. So our concerts with about 16 people there.
So was there anybody else that worked at the restaurant that was in the band with you?
No. Scott worked at Applebee's.
Competitor.
That's amazing. Yeah. So was he a cook as well?
He was. Mm-hmm. And then Scott,
that's a lot of cooks.
Our drummer, Scott, was a manager of a knife store. So he'd sell like samurai swords and knives and cooking knives, and his store was a mess. His store was like his bedroom. It was just a big mess of.
Sounds
That's
awesome,
amazing
actually.
Though. He worked at a knife store. Where do you work? It's a knife store.
There was a knife store at the mall. It's a pretty common knife store, but his was full of boxes everywhere. It wasn't very well taken care of. So all
I do now in quarantine is buy knives and swords and axes. I'm like, anytime there's an ad, it's like, buy this Damascus steel blade. I'm like, I'm sold. I'll take it. I need one.
Gotta have it
for something.
I'm a sucker for those Instagram ads. They get me every time.
They know, right? They know what you're into.
Yeah.
So they're specifically targeting you. It's crazy.
Yeah. They know us. Watching.
I saw some meme where some guy was like, I'm just going to keep talking about the carpet that I need in my living room until the exact ad pops up for the one that I want. And I was like, that's smart. Just talk about what you need until the ads start popping up on your phone for you.
That's right.
What about, did you have, I want to ask people if, like with working at Chili's, I worked at this place called The Keg, and I was a dishwasher, and then I worked my way up to the cook, which was like if they were guys like me, they kept in the back. I had long hair, so they're like, and then Dean, our bass player, he worked there. They're like, yeah, you can go out and like wait tables because you looked handsome.
You can make tips.
So like the echelon was cook. Once you got to cook, you just like ruled the kitchen. You throw stuff in the dishwasher. But I remember just like when I got a job there, then I could get a car. So I had everyone that worked there had the biggest piece of crap car. Sometimes I go out to start my car after a shift at 3 a.m. It wouldn't start. I'd just sit in my car at 3 a.m. and just like, it wouldn't start. People were leaving. Did you have a piece of crap car? Any good car stories?
I did. I had a Buick Century. My dad worked at a Buick dealership, so he got the family deal on a Buick Century that he used for years, and then he handed it off to my oldest brother, who then handed it off to my second oldest brother. Then finally I got the car, and it was so bad by the end, you had to get in the passenger seat to get into the driver's seat. So you either had to do the Dukes of Hazzard thing and get through the window of the driver's seat, or, it's embarrassing because you'd, pick somebody up and you'd have to go through the opposite door to get in. And then one day I was crossing the interstate and the entire steering column fell off. And I had to get my friends to help me push it into a parking lot. And when I went back to check out the car, they had paved the parking lot. They didn't even tow the car. They had done all the work around the car. And I had to get some library books. I think the library books in the trunk were worth more than the car at that point. But we called it the Silver Bullet.
That's beauty.
What year was it?
Oh, I have no idea. But it was probably back in, it was probably like a 1990.
It's not bad. We had it. My family had a Buick Century. I think it was like an 86 though. Same thing.
Ours could have been about an 86 because in 1990 is when I was using it. So
there you go. Maybe we had the same car. Yeah, it was a piece of crap too. There's the ones where you'd roll down the window halfway, had power windows, but you roll them down like halfway and then it would just go,
yeah.
And then you're screwed. You'd have to like help it out.
Well, mine didn't have power windows. We had the roll downs. So yours must have been.
You weren't rich like your family.
You must have been the premium version.
Yeah.
Born with that silver spoon in your mouth.
We were rich.
Well,
we had an 86 with power windows and power brakes.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Good. So we saw E-Rock. We saw E-Rock there. What you guys working on some music? What's going on?
E-Rock was in town working on the Projected band, and he just got done recording and figured just to stay in town and we're just putting songs together now for the next Tremonti record, not knowing when it's going to come out or when we're going to record it, just doing it to do it. But now we're starting to get calls from management and our producer about going into maybe November or December to record. Yeah, cool. So right now we're just kind of like, maybe we'll record some stuff today, maybe not. Now we got to get serious about it.
Yeah. Well, we'll get there ourselves.
I was going to say, when you're writing stuff, how do you know if you're writing stuff for Alterbridge or if you're writing stuff for Tremonti? Does it just sell itself to one or the other? You just know right away?
Usually I take whatever I'm feeling best about at the moment for whatever I'm working on next. But if it's a speed metal thing, it's definitely going to be Tremonti and not Alterbridge. Right. Those guys have looked at me funny enough over the years. I know what they don't like. So every time I come up with the mean speed metal riff and I get excited about it, I know they're not going to like it. So that's.
Do they ever say that to you? Do they say that to you if you come up with an idea and they're like, "Nah, it's Tremonti. Put that in the Tremonti folder." Do they do that to you?
No, not anymore. Just back in the day when I used to play, Slayer type riffs, they would look at me funny and like, "No, save that for your solo band."
I love it.
Yeah, that's great. I love that song. Yeah, I can't wait to hear that on your next Tremonti record. You're like, okay, I get it.
But can we get back to work now?
Yeah.
Oh man.
Different rhythm that rhythm section doesn't really suit the speed metal thing, so it is what it is.
So that's something you want to do for a long time, like from Creed to Alterbridge to Tremonti. Was the Tremonti like the passion project that you always wanted to get to, kind of thing?
Absolutely.
Maybe didn't have the time for, and now you're like, now I can do only what I want to do, exactly what I want to do.
Well, we all can't be singers like you. So, I couldn't
even
sing.
I can't be a singer like me.
I couldn't sing, for years I'm a melody writer, and that's all when people consider me a guitar player, I get kind of annoyed because I'm a songwriter. I'm a melody writer. That's what I put most of my time and effort into. So for years, I just thought I wasn't good enough to give the melodies I was writing their full potential, to reach their full potential. So now that I'm older, I'm like, you know what? Just do it. Just sing and,
Yeah, we talked about that when we toured together. I asked you about that because that's like me. I'm like, I have no confidence in my ability to sing ever. And that's what you said. You're like, well, I kind of just got to the point where I just was like, no reservations, just commit to it and go for it. And just
we could do that right now on this podcast. Me and you, we could break through those barriers.
I'm so nervous.
I think it's a great time.
My whole life. It's that Step Brothers part.
There's no time like the
cold for 6.5 weeks.
Yeah, that's right. Dude, I gotta be serious with you. Oh shit.
That's too good.
Well, there was always time, right? I always thought about doing some sort of instrumental record.
You talked to me about doing a classical record, Ty. You told me you were working on some classical stuff once upon a time.
I was?
Yeah, you
awesome.
had some like you played some finger picking thing, and it was pretty nice. And I don't know, you called it something in D minor or some bullshit. I don't remember.
The problem is like
it was some bullshit.
It was some,
I wasn't paying attention.
Bullshit. Frappuccino was bullshit. Problem with me is that like I always thought, well, I could do that, but I'm not a pro at that. So I would just get destroyed. Like I've always thought about doing like an instrumental record, like, you know, like a Joe Satriani record, but I'd be like, yeah, but dude, you would get destroyed. You know what I mean? Like that's what the only thing that holds me back is the idea of being destroyed when the people are like, stick to theory, dude. So I don't know. But yeah, I bet that would be kind of a passion project, but I kind of like the Tremonti for me would do something. You got to
do it, man. There's dreamers and there's doers in this world, bro. You gotta do it. Come on.
So true. So true.
That's true, man. And I have not had my nap today. That reminds me, I need to dream more.
Nap.
No.
Yeah, I'm envious.
I had my long nap.
That's awesome.
Well, it's a medication, right? When the medication kicks in, it just makes it so much easier to sleep.
It was just the damn Novocaine.
Well, like we were talking about, you know, they did a crown, and I was just showing Tyler, it's way whiter than my actual teeth, and I'm like, well, I guess leave it. I'm eventually going to replace the rest, and I'll just match to that from now on.
There you go.
So,
well, Dave, there's lots of time for that tooth to get oranger like the rest of your teeth.
That's right. Well, when I drink coffee now, I'm really swishing it around that side, so I'm trying to get it to catch up.
No, man.
That's a good plan.
Yeah,
I'm not
sure
a coffee
I'm next.
guy, but
You're not a coffee guy? What about tea? You do the tea?
I do tea when I'm on tour, when I'm singing. I feel like if I don't have my tea with honey before a show, I can't sing.
We did I don't remember what the band was, Dave, but we did a show, and it was a band opening for us, and they were like kids. I went into their dressing room before they went on stage, and they had 4 like red Solo cups, and they were boiling water, and they were full of gummy bears. And I'm what are you guys doing? They're like, oh yeah, man, it's good for your throat. And
Somebody
I'm like, where's
me.
What's that?
You know, that's not so crazy. I heard somebody else did that to me at one show. They gave me some boiling water with some leaves and some crap in it, honey, and some gummy bears.
Some Haribo.
Like, try this. Yeah. It was disgusting. Well,
it's got to have glycerin in it.
But how did you sing?
Did you sing?
I can't remember, to be honest with you, but I'd rather sing bad than drink a cup full of boiling gummy bears.
Leaves and gummy bears.
Melting. Yeah, that's the trick, though. It's the glycerin in it that helps your throat. But a lot of those gummy bears, it's just they don't have any glycerin in it. It's just sugar. So it's actually probably making it worse. But yeah, I think the Haribo stuff, I think that has glycerin in it. But that's the secret ingredient. It's the glycerin.
Those are the best gummy bears, right?
Yeah, they are the best.
The best treatments I've ever had for vocals is when you're in Europe and somebody gives you something for your voice that you can't even read the label, but it's just magic, and they don't sell it in the States. So every time that happens, I keep them here in my touring drawer, and I don't even know if it's cold medicine or who knows what. I just throw it in my touring bag and take it, and makes me sing better.
Be careful when you go through the airport and they're like, whoa. And it's like, I don't know.
They can't read it either.
They can't read it. It's in German. We toured with you over in Europe. We've done some shows over there with you.
You guys filmed that. You guys filmed that DVD, that Alterbridge DVD in London. When we've done
a couple. We did live at Wembley. And then we did Royal Albert Hall with the symphony.
And it was Wembley.
We did the Wembley,
yeah.
I think was that when Nuno was there? Nuno Bancourt come out?
Nuno came out with us, I think, in Newcastle.
Okay.
It could have been that same tour, probably. That was he was on tour with Rihanna at the time.
That's right.
That's right. Yeah.
And he had the night off, so he came out, and we did. He came up and played a song with us.
So another guy we ran into on tour with you guys was Michelangelo.
Yeah.
Is it Badio?
Yeah, Badio. Yeah.
Badio.
He's a good man.
Talk about a talented guy. I think he has the two. His thing is the 2 guitar thing, right? And it was a House of Blues in Chicago. Mm-hmm. I think it might have been that tour we were on. I can't remember that whatever that festival tour we were doing, but and we went by your dressing room, and he was in there, and he just had like a ghetto blaster, and he just pushed play and had backing tracks, and he had like, I think he had a two-neck guitar, and he just started going, and we're like,
did you actually think it was me at first? Like, damn, Mark's been practicing, and then you come in, you're like, oh, it's not him, it's just Michelangelo.
Well, you usually are practicing.
I run into my underwear, I'm like, and there's people hanging out.
He's awesome.
No, yeah, that's a phenomenal guy. Yeah,
I played with him a lot of times, and he's terrifyingly fast. It's awesome.
Is there a bunch of those guys that you maybe looked up to that now you like rub shoulders with and play guitar with, and can't believe you're playing with these guys? Or
yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of guys I like to. Every time I'm on tour, I like to play guitar with whoever's out there, and along the way you run into your Michelangelos and your Rusty Coolies and those types that I just like to sit there and ask as many questions as I can, because I'll see them do something. I'm like, wait, what's that? What's that? Show me that. Trying to pick up as many new tricks along the way.
Well, you're always practicing. We always talk about that. Your dressing room's always got a setup in there, and seems like you're always working on stuff and trying to get better and trying to just improve your craft. What in your craft needs improvement the most? Where do you find your skill set lacking? Because I mean, to me, you shred all over the place, but everybody is their own worst critic. So where do you feel like your work needs to be put in?
I think if I could rewind time and go back to when I was a kid to tell myself to work on something harder, it would be just going back to the basics with the blues. Because I'm that typical guy in the blues club who plays a lick that people are like, that's not the blues.
Right.
So I've every New Year's I tell myself, all right, I'm going to buckle down and I'm going to get back into the blues. And so for the first 2 months of the year, I'm really in it. And then I find some other technique that I dive into that kind of takes me away from it. So, I'd like to be better at the blues, but maybe it's.
I hear that.
Still lots of time.
Still lots of time. And you can be an old blues man. It doesn't matter. You don't have to be a young kid.
That's great about the blues.
Yeah, you got more to sing about. You got more to cry about.
That's right.
You think about Mick Mars, and he's got the issue with his spine and his bones fusing together, but yet his fingers still work, and it's amazing how I don't know how old he is now, but he can still play. So that's one of those things. It's like guitar is like golf. You can be 90 and still shred.
Yeah, and you don't you never notice guitar players with arthritis, or quit because of that. Because I think that kind of stuff kicks in when you're not moving your hands. So as long as you keep your fingers moving, you're going to be able to play forever, hopefully. Unless you're going out punching people like you Canadian hockey players.
Yeah, knife fights at Chili's.
Yeah, climbing in Buick Centuries. Yeah,
you cut my finger off, man. What?
Carpal tunnel. That's another thing that probably scares me.
Could have been a whole different story in your life here, Mark. Could have been a whole different story if that knife fight had
could have been
a different way.
Could have been.
Could have cut your hand. I
could have been a chef by now.
I read that one of your brothers did some or all of the artwork for all your projects. Is that?
Yeah.
I know you did some stuff too. Like, have you ever done anything for any of the albums or?
No, I wish. I got my brother Dan does all the artwork, but I love painting and doing all that stuff. I'm not good enough to make it album cover worthy. Maybe one day. One day.
Well, that your brother's like, man, stop practicing painting, get back to guitar. I'm doing the covers.
He's told me, he's like, dude, I'm going to be pissed if you start painting, and I've been doing this shit my whole life, and all of a sudden you become some kind of well-known painter.
Savant.
It's like, stick to playing the guitar. Painting's just fun.
I think a lot of people that are artistic tend to be somewhat good at a lot of artistic things. Maybe it's just being creative.
It comes from the same spot.
Yeah. It's just, I think maybe that's the being cathartic somehow. It's if you're painting a picture or writing a song. So there's definitely some sort of parallel in there. But that's cool that you have creative stuff that flows in your family. That must be pretty cool.
Yeah, there's nothing better than creating something that doesn't exist and having it materialize and mean something to somebody. Like a song.
Did you have musical parents or anything? Like Tyler and I both had musical fathers. So like I grew up, my dad was always playing, some oldies song, and was always in the house, and he'd get together. We'd have, late nights. He'd have his buddies over, and I mean, they'd set up a the PA and microphones for 3 guys to jam in a room together on acoustic guitars, just so they could blast through the whole house. But it was like embedded in my brain that, like, as I grew up, I just wanted to do that, like get behind some instruments and project through speakers and people could hear it. You ever have anything like that? Like, what drove you to play guitar?
No, my parents weren't musicians. My oldest brother was in a band. He was in the coolest band in high school. His band was called Klepto, and
nice.
he was the lead singer. And then, but I was into it because I would hear, we watched Back to the Future and the big guitar scene. I loved that. The Crossroads movie blew me away. Every time you'd hear a band break down to just a guitar part, like Boston had a lot of spots where it would just break down. You just hear Tom Schultz doing a riff. I was just drawn to it. Even like Jay Gal's band Love Stinks, when it just breaks down to just a guitar hammering away. One of my buddy's older brothers played guitar, and I was like, can I just go in there and look at the guitar? It's like, no, he'll kick your ass. So I just wanted to play guitar, and finally my buddy sold me his guitar for $10. So
nice.
First guitar was $10. My first amplifier was $40. And I just
still got those?
Played with my thumb. I wish I sold them to upgrade. So I sold that $10 guitar for $100, and then put it towards like an import. What was it? I forget the name of it. It was more of a Strat looking guitar. It was my second guitar.
I think we all do that,
funny.
right?
Yeah.
When you're kids,
always trade up.
Yeah, you don't. It's money, right? I traded I remember having a couple. I think it was my Ibanez I had when I was a kid, and don't have any money. So traded in for a Telecaster, and then everything everything changes, right? You go from a floating a Floyd Rose to a Telecaster, but it's all about money. And then now you look back and you're like, man, I wish I kept that Ibanez. And
oh yeah. I wish my main guitar, my favorite guitar that I grew up with, got stolen when we were on tour. Oof. We used to drive around with our trailer on the van with all the radio station stickers on the back of it, and it just invited thieves to come and steal our van. They took all our stuff. So I lost my favorite guitar I grew up with in that night.
That stuff makes me sick to my stomach. We toured and there was like some news that I forget what band it was. They got their trailer stolen with all their gear, and it just makes me sick to my stomach just to know like how much stuff that I actually have that I really like in our touring package that I would be really upset if it were gone. Yeah,
it'd be bad. You gotta put some kind of explosives inside of your trailer in case somebody steals it.
And no one can have it.
Yeah.
What's interesting is that your guitar is somewhere. I've heard stories like Dean, our bass player, he got a bass stolen out of the back of a semi or the back of the loading dock. Someone just walked by and boop when we were loading
amazing
out.
Story.
And they got it back because some guy
it was Edmonton, Alberta.
Yeah,
Edmonton, Alberta, and they were loading out in a snowy day or something, and a guy just walked up, grabbed Dean's bass, and kept going, and then 2 years later, one of Dean's buddies who lives in Edmonton is at a guy's house, and the guy's like bragging about how he stole a bass. He's at some guy's house, and he has a buddy there, and the guy's bragging about how he stole a bass off the back of a truck, and he's like, "You stole a bass from Theory of a Dead Man?" And he was like, "Yeah." He's like, "All right, well, the bass player is one of my best friends. You're going to go get that bass and bring it over here right now." And the guy literally went and got the bass and brought it back, gave it to him, and Dean got the bass given back to him. And I was like, man, I can't believe
That's
that
crazy.
happened.
That's awesome.
So your guitar's out there, man. You might be able to. You never know. I mean,
I got another one back. We had a rehearsal spot where somebody came in and stole another whole big bunch of guitars and mixing boards and all this stuff. And this kid ended up calling the police and saying that this person just sold me this guitar, and I know whose it is. And if you just give me the money I paid for it, I'll give it to you. So police went and got it back to me. But then the poor guy who sold it to the police was all questioned, probably, all day long, because they probably thought he stole it. But as long as I got it back, it was all dinged up, all scratched up. That thing was in mint condition, and now it's all dinged up. But I still tour with it.
Well, my first ever guitar, my dad bought me. My mom put it out for spring cleaning. Just like put it on the street, out on the roadside, and somebody drove by and picked it up and put it in their car, and now they have it.
Jeez.
I don't think I've talked to my mom since.
Hey man, you might be able to get that. You might be able to get that Area Pro 2 back one day, Dave.
It was an Area Pro 2. It's true. Didn't matter that it was a piece of crap guitar, man. That was an important guitar to me. I loved it. It's my first guitar.
We need to put little chips in our guitars so we can hunt them down.
Smart, actually. Yeah, tracking devices.
That's a good idea. Like they do in dogs and stuff. You can somehow create it. You know what, guys? The three of us, let's create an app. Track your gear tracker.
That's
gear
right.
Tracker. You go up to the guy's house, you knock on his door. Hi, Mark Tremonti. You stole my fucking guitar, bro. No, I didn't. Yeah, look at my app. I tracked it right to your house. Boom. Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah.
Oh, how great would that be?
That'd be so sweet.
How great would that be? You just have those visions of the moment you catch the person stealing your stuff, and you're just.
What would happen is I'd be leaving my guitar like a bait car, right? I'd be my bait guitar. Be like, oh, what? Hey, my guitar got stolen off my front deck again.
Just testing out the app.
Give him your shitty guitar that doesn't work.
Oh no!
It just has a string on it.
Yeah, that's just a hook. It's bait.
Like the dollar on the sidewalk string.
Dave's getting bored enough where you could do that. Just sit there and wait till someone steals one of your guitars.
Oh man, I would just be so happy. I'd just be so happy to lend my guitar to them. They don't need to steal it from me, man. I'm happy to lend a guitar to somebody that needs to borrow one. I got lots.
That's true. Dave, you've lent some guitars to friends and stuff like that. That's what you always.
I've permanently lent them. I've lent out a few acoustic guitars and stuff to people, and then it's just like 10 years have gone by, and I'm like, whatever. I'm not going to call you and ask for that back now. You can have it. It's yours. You're probably giving it more love than I would give it at home, so. Guitars deserve to be played.
How are your DJ skills these days?
They need some brushing up. Yeah, they need some brushing up. They're not good.
Do they still scratch? I don't know.
I mean, I do listen to a lot of vinyl at my house, but I wouldn't call myself a DJ. It's just I put a record on and I let it go from A to B and finish the whole record, and then
you're the post-show party guy. You're the guy that throws on the tunes on the vinyl.
No, that's right. Yeah, I had my case when we were touring. I used to play the vinyls back. What was that one tour we did? Frostbite. What was that? Avalanche. Did we do that with you guys?
Yeah, we did the Carnival of Madness.
That was it.
Was that the one we did? Yeah, Carnival.
Frostbite. That was it.
Yeah, they're all so stupid.
Like
the names are also stupid.
It's not ringing a bell, Frostbite.
Yeah.
I know the Edge Fest was not Frostbite.
Well, Edge Fest was there's so many different festivals, but we did one Edge Fest out in Toronto, one of our early days, where Jerry Cantrell's gear exploded. I wanted to try to go watch Jerry Cantrell play, and he switched spots with Seven Dust, something like that. And then all Jerry's gear busted, and it turned into like a huge drama fest where he went and like called out Seven Dust, and they were not happy about it. And I was like, I don't want to meet Jerry today. Don't worry. I don't need to meet Jerry today.
Yeah. Remember we were doing a boat cruise, and one of the band's gear rolled off the boat into the ocean. all these classic guitars just sunk down to the bottom of the ocean on the load off. It was, I think it was Andrew WCK. Is that his name?
Oh yeah. Andrew
CK.
Andrew WK.
Andrew W. Yeah, he.
Yeah, we like to party hard.
I think his guitar player lost all his guitars in the ocean.
Man.
That's brutal.
How does that happen? Just get wheeled off the edge?
Because you just put the signs around town saying, "Hey, you want to work on this crew? You're going to make $15 an hour.
Yeah,
Come on, sign up." And they get drunk and they're working on this crew and they drop stuff in the ocean.
We've never done a cruise show, and I don't know that we ever will.
You should. They're great.
I don't know why. I'm not the one that fights it too much.
That's me and Dean.
You would. I think you'd be surprised. I think you'd enjoy it.
Well, there's tons of fans that want us to do it. We run into so many people, and they have the shirts. And I mean,
get on
there's tons of bands.
Shiprock's awesome.
Yeah. Tons of
I'm a
bands
pretty
we played
social
with.
guy, so I would love it.
Yeah.
You'll just be getting handed drink shots all day long. Hey, here's a drink. Here's a drink. Here's a shot.
Where do you get
I might need it.
though?
I'm not a big. Not a big boat guy. I would need some Gravol or whatever it is. I get seasick and stuff.
Dramamine.
Have you not been on a cruise ship?
No, I've never been on a cruise ship.
Being on a cruise ship is like being on a. It's massive. You hardly feel it.
Yeah,
you hardly feel it. Sometimes you'll go through a big storm and you'll be playing a show and you'll see the chandelier swinging in the venue, but that just adds to the rock.
Yeah, that sounds interesting.
Yeah, you never know, man.
It might not be the right time to commit to a
right now
cruise ship show.
Maybe late
down the road. Down the road.
Hey, well, I honestly, I don't mind. I don't mind hearing some positive things about it because it's definitely Tyler and Dean that are pushing back on the cruise ship show.
Do it.
I wouldn't mind seeing what it's all about.
I'm down. It's all Dean. You just blame whoever's not here.
Yeah,
that's what I always like to do. You just blame it on. You always blame it on the rhythm section. That's what you just always do.
That's right.
It was the bass player or the drummer did something. I was on. I was in tune. It's definitely the bass player. Yeah, that's the poor bass player and drummer. There's
the
so
crowd
many jokes.
Doesn't know it if the lead guitar player or the singer mess up. It's this rhythm section. If the drums stop, it's done.
Did you screw that up over there? No. I was trying something a little different, a little out there.
No, I was just playing outside the box. I was just playing outside the box. Yeah,
just jazz oddity. Well, everybody has their own I usually blow some lyrics, and the guys you can't get anything past. I mean, we all have in-ears, so you can't get anything past. So sometimes I'll do the old one of these, sing it.
The Vince Neil. I call that the Vince Neil.
Vince Neil. And then sometimes I'll list full on like Bob Dylan, and of course Dave's like, no.
Just don't make eye contact or else you're all start busting up laughing.
Right. But everybody has their own move, right? Dave's is if he messed up, you just turn around.
I turn around in shame and hide my face.
Turns around and runs off stage.
Yeah, I walk into a dark spot on stage, put my head down.
But it's interesting what the audience they don't hear. Like sometimes we'll come off stage and be like, "That sucked. Like that was the worst show of the tour for me," and then you'll meet fans and be like, "That was the best show I've ever seen of you guys. Oh my God, you were just on there." I go, oh. And it's because sometimes it's everything up there is so different and we just expect to be perfect. And then you just hit a bum note or something. You're like, oh my God.
So what's the biggest train wreck? What's the biggest train wreck where you just couldn't get off stage quick enough?
There's been funny train wrecks. There's been, The worst is when your tone is just garbage and something's going on. I remember we did a festival in Austria years ago. I think there was 40 or 50,000 people there. And it was one of the festivals where all the hot new guitar players were on this bill. And I wanted it to be a special bill because it's playing with all these great players. And 5 minutes before we get on stage, my tech comes over. He's like, "So all your amps just blew up. We plugged them in and all the fuses blew, and we don't have backup fuses, and nobody has the fuses for your stuff. So we're going to have to use your backup amp," which was a Buddha. at the time, which are cool amps. They're not really what my sound is. So I had to play this big, huge festival with this amp that sounded nothing like my tone, and wasn't cutting the mix. I didn't have any time to EQ it right. So the whole time I'm just like, get through it.
Get me out of here.
Yeah. I've fallen down on stage a few times. I remember
nice.
we were in Chicago, and lights just go down, band's walking on stage, and you're looking around like, yeah, doing the big old "we're about to rock" kind of thing.
Yeah. And
I step on my monitor, and it was a wooden floor, and the monitor had plastic feet on it, and it just went whoop. Oh. So I'm going down, still trying to hold the guitar, and
that's rock and roll.
You got to put a smile on your face when you stand up. If you get up all irritated or embarrassed, it's going to make it worse. So you got to.
Well, I had the similar thing. I've had a few falls on stage. I think it's been a while since I've gotten a little more reserved. But back when I was a little younger, you just feel invincible. And I've had a couple of falls. And I remember the first time I ever fell on stage when we were opening for Kenny Wayne Shepherd, actually, at an outdoor show in New Jersey. And I guess he was like not drinking or something. So my tech came up to me and he's like, no beer on stage, because Kenny Wayne's not drinking. And I'm like, yeah, well, you don't work for Kenny Wayne, man. You work for me. Double my beer on stage tonight, baby. Like I was just like a cocky kid. But of course, by the end of the set, I was actually pretty cut, and I drank a lot more than I normally did. And it was our last song, and I remember falling, and it was a concrete stage, and I fell straight flat on my back. And I was laying there thinking to myself, I remember laying there playing still, thinking, is this lame or is this all right? Like, what do I do? Because it's right near the end of the song, and I'm pondering, what do I do? And then my guitar tech came out, scooped me up from the shoulders and lifted me back up. And I thought, it's a good thing I just delayed. This is actually probably the best way to get back up. And he put me back up and played the last 30 seconds, and that was the end of the set. And then I never had any qualms about falling after. I was like, falling's fine. It's rock and roll.
You just got to put a smile on your face, act like you meant it.
Yeah, that's part of the show.
The fans will remember that. I was at the show where Mark went up and the monitor went out. And of course, the way they'll describe it is much better, right? They're not going to ever
still graceful.
Make you see, they're going to make, oh, dude. And
it was awesome. And he held on to those notes and he was tapping the whole way down.
Dude, he was doing two-hand tapping, shredding the whole time, didn't miss a beat.
He was finger tapping, 8 fingers.
Yeah, it's so good. It reminds me of that old guitar magazine that me and Dave always faked the pose, where it was like, I think it was like an ad for something. Remember, like you used to get the exercise thing? It would be like the spring. Yeah. And it was like there was some ad, it was some dude and he had like a mullet and he was doing some guitar chord, but it was like it was like stretched. And I could, to this day, I don't even know how he could. It was like 8 frets, and he was like, I don't know what chord it was, but it was just obviously his fingers were put into place for the ad. And they're like, you can just hold that. It's like, you too.
It'd be funny to compile all those funny guitar magazine covers with the craziest, whatever anybody's doing on the front.
That's what it was about. It's all like, what chord could I play where people are like, dude, that's a sus something. That's in 9/11 right there. And it's just like, it's now, if you plug the guitar and it was just like, it wasn't real.
No,
man.
It's never real.
You've been in a lot of guitar magazines. Mm-hmm. Do you have any favorite guitar players? Do you have one favorite guitar player that you could, or there's probably a few, right?
I'd have to say Stevie Ray Vaughan, number 1 of all time. These days, I've got tons, man. There's, Jeff Beck, insane. I think there are a lot of great current players like Mateus Asado is really impressive player. Derek Trucks. I could go on for days and days and days, but the older I get, the more I'm into the more less shreddy stuff, more bluesy, jazzy, experimental stuff.
Yeah, I love YouTube and Instagram now because there's so many insanely talented guitar players, and they have a platform to be able to show how talented they are. So that's where I find out new guitar players is on like usually Instagram. You usually get in one of those Instagram wormholes. You find a guitar player, and you're like, who is this person? And they have like a ton of followers. I'm noticing a lot of females now, which is great. It's great for guitars. I'm starting to follow.
People are talking like the guitar is going to go away. Like kids don't want to learn how to play guitar anymore, and they're learning how to make music on their computers using weird things. But yeah, I kind of don't know that I totally agree. I think there's always going to be some group of people that wants to sit down and put in the time and build a skill.
I was just on the phone with folks from PRS, and they're saying even through all the COVID stuff, they're selling guitars like they never have before. So I
would think that'd be great. People just trying to figure out what to do at home by themselves. And well, now I'm going to try to
These are the things I buy during COVID.
Pinball machines.
Is that Iron Maiden?
That's my Iron Maiden pinball machine. I love pinball machines.
So how many pinball machines you got?
15.
So do you have to put a quarter in when you play them?
No.
Are you one of those guys? Imagine come to your house, like, can I play this? Like, yeah, dude, 50 cents.
You just gave me a great idea.
Change machines over there?
No, they're not a quarter. They're $1.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, nice.
No, they're all on free play.
That's pretty sweet. Pinball machines. Ty, you like pinball machines?
I love pinball machines.
Which one was I trying to find? Kroll the Conqueror or something like that?
Kroll? Do they have a Kroll pinball machine?
I think there's a Kroll pinball machine.
Is Kroll the one where there's 3 blades on the one sword?
It's like a throwing star thing. It's like,
okay,
yeah, it's like 3 things.
I know. Yeah,
Kroll, classic. If they have a Kroll pinball machine, Mark, it's worth purchasing for $20,000.
I don't know if there's a Kroll. They need a Beastmaster pinball machine.
I loved Beastmaster when I was a kid. The opening scene with the quicksand.
I had 3 ferrets when I was.
Oh yeah.
I had 3 ferrets at one point.
So you were big into the Beastmaster.
I just had a panther.
Beastmaster was good. Beastmaster was good. You can't talk badly about the Beastmaster.
I was into that fantasy stuff as a kid. Always into the D&D stuff. I'm still into it. If ever I read a book, it was a fantasy novel. D&D, swords and sorcery. That's my jam. So all those movies are Conan the Barbarians. I love that stuff. Oh yeah, Conan's great. Let's get together and watch some Conan and some Beastmaster. 100%. Yeah, dude. After the shows, we watched some Crawl. And let's get back on tour. Wouldn't it be fun to be touring again? And then we're about 10 minutes into Crawl. We're like, this isn't really that good. Yeah, let's watch Game of Thrones. I still like all that 80s stuff. It's so good. Remember Black Hole? I thought that was the baddest ass movie in the world when I was a kid. Then I've watched it in an older age. I'm like, yes. Well, Tyler, which one? Black Hole? Great. Black Hole. Oh, that's a Disney movie that got real dark. Yeah, that was one why I liked it when I was a kid. The robot had that spinny thing that would go through and kill you. Yeah. Oh yeah. Good stuff. Yeah. Black Hole. Ty is too busy watching Murder, She Wrote and Columbo on tour. That's all he does. Wow. Yeah, I get into some weird stuff. He gets Murder, She Wrote throwback. You did the Miami Vice or something like that. Miami Vice? Yeah, I don't know. I'm very nostalgic. I find that it's easier for me to rewatch old shows than to try because man, there's so many shows now. I have friends that are just like, you got to check out this new show, so and so. I'm like, really? He's like, yeah, first season is boring. If you can grind through the first season, I'm like, I don't know. I'm just gonna watch Magnum PI. I got it all on iTunes. I'm good. Yeah, I don't know. Got to catch up on Crockett and Tubbs. Miami Vice was awesome back in the day. When we were kids, that was awesome. Yeah, that was a good one. So violent. It was just, and every episode is about cocaine, drug dealers, and Ferraris, and I'm watching, I'm like 8, and I'm like, what is going on? And now I watch it, I'm like, this is really violent and stuff. Like Uzis. It's when people used to shoot Uzis like this, like they're watering a garden. I remember the opening scene was so fancy, and then I remember sitting there eating my TV dinners at night on my little house tables. We had these house tables you could scoot in front of you and watch TV, and my dad would be there smoking cigarettes right next to me as I'm eating dinner as like a 12-year-old. That was cool back then. That's all good.
Yeah, it was great. I remember used to have to roll. Me and my sister had to roll cigarettes for my dad. He had like this machine. It was like a credit card machine. So you'd have the empty filters or whatever, and you'd pack them, and then you go, and it would actually jam all the tobacco into the thing. My sister had to make it.
I've seen
fill
those.
up the tin, cigarettes.
My dad would send me to buy cigarettes.
Make my cigarettes, kids.
With a note. You ever have to buy cigarettes with a note? You're like 8 years old. I'm like, here's my dad's note. You want some Players Light Medium or something? I don't know.
That doesn't really work these days.
No, you couldn't get away with that nowadays.
No. I need some vodka for my mom.
Yeah.
They probably sell like vodka to an 8-year-old before they would a kid that looks a little underage, because they'd be like, well, if an 8-year-old comes in here, he's probably not drinking it. Probably is legit. But if like a 14-year-old,
he probably is getting it for his mom. Yeah, let's give it to him.
It's from my dad. Yeah, that's right. They're like, yeah, all right. How times have changed, man, right?
Oh, yeah.
Do you need me to crack that cap for you, little 8-year-old? Here you go. Here you go. Take that for the road.
Good way to go to jail.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we noticed you working with we always like to talk about charities, me and Dave. We're always trying to work with charities, and so you were doing something with LLS, was it?
We do Bridges of Light a lot, which is our good friends, the Paps. They do a charity that they take kids that don't have money for an education or anywhere to live. They kind of foster all these people, and it's just great because they introduce us to them all the time. And like, this look at this girl who didn't have anything. Now she's going to college, and we got her there. And it's awesome. So we go to these charities, and my wife's a huge. She's kind of my social person. When I get home off tour and I haven't seen everybody, she's already got everything on tap. So we get home and we go to all these charitable events, and I'm a sucker for the ones where the dogs are going to get euthanized and you have to save the dogs. So I'm like, give them all my money, take all the money. We go to Give Kids the World and Make a Wish, and Miles has the Future Song organization, his charity, where they try to provide instruments for schools and kids that might not be able to afford an instrument, but
love that.
Try to just diversify.
That's great, man. It's interesting, like, because we've done stuff as a band. We've never actually done anything as individuals, like. But it's great to actually ask stuff like that, because now it makes me think about stuff that because the animals, for me, that's always been something that living here in California, there's a lot of no-kill shelters, which I love.
That's great.
Especially during COVID, it's they are like begging people to take animals, because it's the last thing people are doing right now is like, well, let's go look for a pet. So they're trying to get a lot of people to adopt. So that's definitely up my alley for sure.
Well, my dream is my dream after I retire is to find some land, get some volunteer vets, and take all the dogs that would be put down and just bring them into their doggy heaven, and have 100 acres of land of all these dogs that wouldn't be around unless you've saved them from an early death. And dogs to me are the best thing in the world. Humans don't deserve dogs.
So true.
Yeah. Yeah, I love dogs.
I'm at the point right now, actually, where I'm trying to get.
Cats. I like cats too, but dogs, the best.
I've heard a dog barking in the background there a couple times. We're at the point where I got a couple of young kids, 2 and 4, and me and my wife are like, I think we're ready to bring a dog into the house. So pretty soon here.
Dogs,
I think I've been talked into it.
Yeah, I've been a dog. I mean, my parents got us dogs when we were young kids, and we've never been without. So. Couldn't imagine life without dogs.
Yeah.
Well, man, we can't keep you all day here. I mean, we've been talking to you forever. It just feels so good to just chat with you again. Actually, it's been feels like it's been a couple of years since we actually got to sit down and rap. So appreciate you getting in touch with us.
Absolutely.
Today.
Let's hit the road when all this stuff is over with.
That would be so much fun.
Yeah. We are. All looking forward to it. It's interesting too, because we talk to people, and one of our other guests is a friend of ours. he says it's like you won't see someone for like 2 or 3 years, and then as soon as you see them, it's like you saw them yesterday. And I'm like, that's like being in a band. When you go on tour and you tour with a band or see a band at a festival and you haven't seen them a couple of years, it's just like you just saw them yesterday. So we're looking forward to just seeing you yesterday when we see you.
Yes, exactly.
Right on. Well, thanks so much.
Thanks for having me on the show, guys. Yeah.
You got it.
Anytime.
Thanks,
I'll be back again. Rap some more.
Absolutely.
It's always great talking to a fellow guitar player, fellow bandmate, Mark Tremonti.
It's just fun catching up. It's fun catching up, you know.
Yeah.
We spend time touring with people, and then, you know, you just like, see you later. And then a year goes by, 2 years go by, and then you just right back at it, you know. Feels good.
He mentioned quickly about, you know, when I retire, thought about getting some land, but when you're in a band and, you know, you never retire, really. I mean, you'll never stop playing guitar. You're never going to stop making music. Maybe not tour as much, stay home more, but right now we're all staying home a lot, and I'm ready to get the out of here, you know what I mean?
I hear that, yeah. I'm ready to tour.
But yeah, it's good to see him, man. You can obviously check out his socials. We'll post them up on the YouTube. Mark Tremonti, you can check out, you know, any of his projects, Creed, Alterbridge, Tremonti. Also, fret12.com is a website that him and his brother created. We didn't get really into it, but they're also a record label. But it's a great community for guitars. You can go on there and actually purchase his guitars. And so you can check that out. And then, Dave, that's a wrap for this episode. You have fun?
Another good one in the bag.
I love the bag. I don't know what the bag is, but that's another one in it. So go check out our socials, Band Meeting Podcast, which is on we're on the
Instagram.
Twitter, we're on the Instagram, and on YouTube. You can watch it. Give us a thumbs up, give us a like, all that stuff. Give us a Michelin.
Listen to us where you listen to podcasts.
Listen to us where you listen to podcasts.
Exactly.
See you next time. Adios.